Good morning, everyone. My name is Jack Good, and I'm president of Essex National Heritage. And would like to welcome you here. We'll have some greetings to begin our time together. But this is the beginning of our fall meeting. We do a fall meeting and a spring meeting out of our office area and into the community. And we're very pleased to be here at Governor's Academy for today's meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think the weatherman got this one right. So, I am chair of the Board of Selectmen of the wonderful town of Newbury, and I am very pleased to welcome Essex Heritage and all its supporters and partners to the town of Newbury. As selectman in the town of Newbury, I am certainly aware of the focus of Essex Heritage and its mission to preserve and enhance the historic, cultural, and natural resources of Essex County. Newbury is a town that traces its origins to 1635, so we certainly appreciate that mission. Our town is a wonderful mosaic of agrarian landscape, historic homes, new growth, and of course, the wonderful Great Marsh, which I'm so much very involved with. Essex Heritage has always been a good partner in our many efforts to recognize, enhance, and preserve our important historic and natural assets. For example, the availability of grants that helped us when we built the Lower Green School, also the Great Marsh Tour Project, ever present with the Border to Boston Rail Trail. Essex Heritage was instrumental in securing the federal money for design. Essex Heritage has always provided leadership for the Essex Coastal Scenic Byway. And of course, Essex Heritage is a productive partner of the Great Marsh Coalition. So once again, the town of Newbury is pleased to welcome everyone in this room.
In August, the Board of Trustees were elected, and also our officers. And we'd like to welcome our new trustees, and I will name them so that you can in fact recognize them, and I hope they'll stand if they are here. First, Gary Kuhn of Finder Wealth Management. Gary's a resident of Andover. Gary, are you here? Yes, thank you. Welcome. Wayne Eisenhower, Board President of the Danvers Historical Society. I know Wayne's here. Wayne, welcome. Attorney Jim Rudolph, and Jim actually lives in Marblehead. Thomas Sullivan of the Law Office of Thomas J. Sullivan in Haverhill. Welcome, Tom. Pamela Yeaman of the Butcher Boy Market in North Andover. Pamela's the Board President of the Lawrence History Center. Welcome, Pamela. And also we'd like to thank our 3 trustee emeriti for their service to the board and to the organization as a whole. First, Anita Blackaby, former executive director of the House of Seven Gables. Let's see Anita here. Dr. Patricia Meservey, who's president of Salem State University, and Kevin Tierney, who's president and chief operating officer of North Shore Bank. Also, I want to bring to your attention the offices for this year for Essex National Heritage. Yours truly, serving as the president of the organization. Vice President John Farmer of Eastern Bank. John, right here. Kevin Rourke of Salem 5 Bank. Welcome, Kevin. Assistant Treasurer Tim Felter. Thank you, Tim. Clerk Frederick Winthrop, formerly of the Trustees of Reservations. Assistant Clerk Paul McGinley of McGinley, Calzo and Associates. Past President Richard Yagian of Hunt Photo and Video. And finally, President Emeritus Tom Leonard, founding president of Essex Heritage. I'd also like to recognize Tim Felter, who stood just a minute ago, who is a new officer. Tim is a senior vice president and treasurer at the Newburyport 5 Cent Savings Bank, and Tim lives in Andover, so welcome to you. Next, I'd like to invite Sumner Jones to the podium to bring the report from the nominating committee.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On a difficult day to get here, I guess, for some of us, but thank you for being here. On behalf of the nominating committee, I would like to present to you the following slate of individuals who are being nominated for 3-year term as commissioner. And I'd like to ask you if you are here to stand when your name is called and remain standing so we can all say hello to you afterward. First, Thomas Baff, Executive Director of Maritime Gloucester. Thomas is here. Dr. Lane Glenn, President, Northern Essex Community College. John Gray, President and CEO, J. Barrett and Company. Walter Kosmowski, Executive Director, Beverly Community Access Media. Joss Lerner, Jacob H. Schiff, Professor of Harvard Business School. Michael Mroz, Executive Director, Custom House Maritime Museum. James Muse, Senior Vice President, North Shore Bank. And finally, Lisa Shanko, Vice President, TD Bank. Thank you very much. A little round of applause.
Welcome to our new commissioners. You're joining a great group of folks that we think are invaluable to us of being able to spread the message through the entire Essex County. We can get around out of our offices in Salem to certain locations in spring and fall, but you really represent us on the ground during the rest of the year, and we appreciate your involvement with us. I'd like to give a shout out, if you will, to our development committee, and particularly to Charlie Cullen. Charlie, where are you? Right in the back row of all places. Charlie is our leader, if you will, of our development committee. Charlie, formerly with the Provident Bank and still continues in a capacity there. We would like to also welcome Lisa Shank of TD Bank, who is joining that committee. I don't know whether Lisa is here or not, but we appreciate Lisa coming on board and welcome her to our regular meetings where we, in fact, begin to look at the Essex National Heritage Area and look more definitively at those that can be of benefit and support for the kind of work that we're doing. We also want to thank former Mayor of Peabody, Mike Bonfanti. Mike served as a member of that committee for a couple of years, and he had several other areas that he was interested in after his serving as mayor, and he's pursuing those areas, and we are at a loss to not have him with us on that committee, but he pledged his support of what we're doing as an organization going forward. This past summer, we had, for the first time, an activity called the Summer Soiree, and it was done in Ipswich, in the Waldingfield estate that's owned by Don Curiel and Arthur Finkelstein, and it was a great event. It was an opportunity to get together informally on a Sunday afternoon. I think it was probably the best afternoon that we could possibly have had, and there were no greenheads, and there were no mosquitoes, and that made it all the more delightful for us to be in at that setting. But we had an opportunity to bring some new friends together and meet us and talk about what we do as an organization. And just that informal time together, I know I spend a lot of time working with nonprofit organizations in my capacity, and I probably am working with 7 or 8 nonprofit organizations at any one time, and people are moving away from the large gala type things for the most part and moving towards more intimate gatherings where they can tell their story on a more informal basis. And we certainly saw the value of that. We need to have both, but we certainly saw the value of being able to bring together small cocktail receptions and have a chance to work with staff and guests to make sure that our story is being told, that there are a group of people who leave that event and feel very comfortable in who we are and knowing more about us. One of our sponsors, John Gray, who was mentioned when we were talking about new members of the commission, and Jay Barrett, who is the president and CEO of J. Barrett and Company. I should say John Gray, who's the president of J. Barrett and CEO of that organization, is actually coming on as commissioner. And that was another touch point, if you will, of us being able to get to know him better, and him for showing his agreement to serve, I think, is an example of once they know about us, they're willing to come on board and be supportive of us. We have an event coming up on a large scale called the Heritage Hero Award. Some of you have been to that event in years past. It's our major event, if you will, for exposure. And we have a great opportunity ahead of us to be able to talk about another very involved organization here in the North Shore that we want to give a great deal of credit for and to that evening, and that is the individuals who are involved with the trustees of reservations. The Al Creighton, who is a member, and the Fred Winthrop and Ed Becker are all members of that organization. And I would say that you should plan on May 7th at the Damersport Yacht Club. Put it in your calendars now. Make sure that you are, in fact, on target to attend that event. It will be a great evening, and I think that those of you who are are familiar with the organization and the Essex County Greenbelt. Both of those organizations are really represented in these same people, and I think it's important that you take the moment, take the time to come to an event like this and acknowledge their work within the community. They have done an outstanding job, and I think that we sometimes lose fact of being able to hold on to what we already have, and they've done a masterful job in making that happen, and it's our opportunity to recognize them, particularly those three gentlemen, Al Creighton, Freddie Winthrop, and Ed Becker. I'd like to then just move quickly to thanking our Essex Heritage staff. You've met Annie before and Bill Steelman, who get a great deal of notoriety, if you will, because they stand before you at these events. But I also want to recognize others that, particularly our newest staff employees, we have others on the staff, but our newest employees, Robin Gianopolo, who is our development assistant, who works for, who has joined us from Fidelity Charitable, Catherine Rudkowski, manager of the new Salem Visitor Information Desk and former seasonal employee of the Park Service. Are you here?
Couldn't get here.
Couldn't get here, okay. And Ryan McMahon, a new Salem Visitor Information Desk staffer who joined us from the National Park Service. Is Ryan here?
He is a class.
Okay, all right. These two people, you'll hear more about when Andy gets a chance to talk, but we made a milestone, I think a step in the right direction in being able to get visibility through the visitor center in Salem. And we have a presence where our offices are located just down the street on the 4th floor with no visibility whatsoever. This gives us as an organization a great deal of visibility, and Annie will talk to you a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes. Next, I'd like to introduce Bill Steelman. Bill is going to announce this year's Pioneer and Partnership recipients. Bill?
Thank you, Jack. Good morning, people. Ain't it great to be alive and be in Essex County? All right. It's funny, we came here as a staff a few weeks ago to check the joint out, and we were just talking about the effect the sunlight would have on the screen, would have washed the images out. So, oh well, so much. I think several of you attended a similar event that I did in early September, fundraising event in Ipswich, where this incredible microburst, all this lightning, thunder, and rain just came pouring down. And I was thinking to myself, this is really an incredible organization that has the wherewithal to rally this great thunderstorm for our benefit and stuff. So I hope you'll think nonetheless of us as an organization today. So. Each year, Essex Heritage presents its Pioneer and Partnership Awards to individuals and organizations who exemplify the Commission's spirit of collaboration. The awards recognize those who build partnerships and celebrate the nationally significant places that form the Essex National Heritage Area. This morning, we are presenting 5 awards. Our first award goes to the Gloucester Writers Center, which is based in a city and a region synonymous with hard work and creative endeavor. The Gloucester Writers Center is the heart of the city's writing life. Its programs and events draw a wide cross-section of the community, many of whom have never before experienced writers reading their own work and speaking about their own lives. In the course of building lasting relationships with local and regional, state, and even national organizations, the center has enriched the literary and cultural life of Cape Ann by bringing in writers of all schools and genres to speak, teach, and lead. Key partnerships include one with the Gloucester Veterans Services Administration to establish a veterans writing workshop, another with Maritime Gloucester to create a waterfront writers program, another with the Cultural Center at Rocky Neck to program a wide range of cultural events, and partnerships with cultural institutions such as Endicott College, UMass Lowell, and the City College of New York to recruit national and international writers and poets. The center has also inaugurated a scholarship program for young writers. Through these opportunities and others, the Gloucester Writers Center has helped people from all walks of life enhance their writing and communication skills. In doing so, the center has played an important role in sustaining Cape Ann's legacy as a special place that inspires writers to work at the craft of writing. Now, as it turns out, our award recipient was unable to join us this morning, but did provide some brief welcoming remarks. Actually, they were very lengthy welcoming remarks, but my wife teaches writing and says that everybody's needs editing, so I'm going to take the liberty here. So. Usually I would invoke the must be present to win award, but we're a generous organization. So on behalf of co-founder and co-director Henry Farini, I report that the Gloucester Writers Center is delighted to have been chosen for the Pioneer and Partnership Award. Based in the home of the late Vincent Farini, Gloucester's first poet laureate, the Gloucester Writers Center was founded to support writers and writing, both as a means of expression and as a tool for social justice. It is a place where local writers, artists, and thinkers meet to discuss art and life, where renowned writers from across the country and from abroad come to visit, and where Vincent's door is still open to welcome and encourage aspiring writers and artists of all ages and backgrounds. We call the Gloucester Writers Center a working writers center in a working town. Through our work, we make sure that something gets done. More often than not, our success comes from connecting people with organizations and one another who want to see the same result, which is to honor and celebrate Cape Ann's rich literary legacy. Thank you for the acknowledgement and this award. Our second recipient is the Friends of Lynn Woods. Founded in 1881, Lynn Woods Reservation, a 2,200 acre forest park in Lynn, is the second largest municipal park in the United States. Encompassing nearly 1/5 of the city's land area, Lynn Woods is one of the most significant, publicly accessible natural places in eastern Massachusetts. Formed in 1990 to ensure the perpetual existence of the reservation, the all-volunteer Friends of Lynn Woods helps to protect, maintain, and enhance the natural and primeval qualities of this unique urban forest. Through the ensuing years, the Friends have worked closely with the City of Lynn, the Lynn Woods Ranger, and countless municipal groups from the Boy Scouts to the Elfin Society at General Electric to educate adults and children about the environmental and historical value of Lynn Woods. They lead hikes, assist with running programs, publicize the park, and work to increase appropriate use of this highly valued facility. It's worth noting that the Friends are longtime participants in trails and sales. At the current time, the Friends are working with the city, the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation, and Essex County Greenbelt to permanently protect the forest by placing a conservation restriction on the entire property. Through their leadership efforts, the Friends have helped to make the Lynn Woods a prominent focal point for the city of Lynn, its residents, and the region at large. Just wanted to mention that the Friends were nominated by the Lynn Woods Ranger, Daniel Small, and we'd like to welcome with us today Pam Hood, Janice Hegan, and Dan Broderick from the Friends, and I'd like to invite Dan to come forward and say a few remarks.
Congratulations. That's terrific. I appreciate being here. My name is Dan Broderick, and I'm a board member of the Friends of Lynn Woods and represent my organization on the Board of Commissioners for Essex National Heritage Association. Both groups I'm extremely proud to be associated with and look forward to a long-term commitment. Today's Pioneer and Partnership Award to the Friends of Lynn Woods combines our goals and our purpose with Essex National Heritage. Trails and Sales is a yearly program we have been involved with for 6 years, and we host Lynn Woods tours visiting historic Dungeon Rock and Stone Tower, which was recently renovated and reopened in 2010. We're open dawn to dusk with plenty of free parking and over 30 miles of roads and side trails. If that sounds like an invitation, it is. So come up whenever you are in the area. And finally, we thank Essex National Heritage for this award and are proud to add our urban forest to the growing inventory of treasured places that comprise Essex County, where we live and where we share our collective history. Thank you for the award, and hope to see you in the woods soon. Thank you.
Our next recipient is the General Israel Putnam chapter of the Daughters of American Revolution. And since its incorporation in 1921, the General Putnam chapter of the DAR has worked tirelessly to perpetuate the memory of the men and women who achieved American independence, to promote knowledge and to cherish and maintain and extend the institutions of American freedom. In a region as historically rich and significant as ours, that mission is an open invitation to become involved in a wide range of activities. To wit, for over 90 years, the chapter has preserved the memory of our forefathers through its active preservation and interpretation of the Judge Samuel Holton House. Located in Danvers, the seminal 17th century house has associations with the 1692 Salem witchcraft hysteria and the birth of our country. In recent years, the chapter has partnered with the Danvers Historical Society and the Danvers Alarm List Company to increase visitation to 3 local historic sites through a combined ticketing program. In the realm of education, the chapter champions youth education initiatives such as the Junior ROTC and Good Citizens program for area high schools. Students in the 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th grade may enter the DAR's American History Essay Contest. And you can well imagine the chapter's delight in 2011 when an 8th grade student from Danvers was named the national winner. Her essay was selected from over 41,000 essays submitted from 4,000 schools from all 50 states. The chapter also provides scholarships, supports veterans in VA hospitals, conducts literacy programs, and engages in women's issues. This morning, we'd like to recognize the DAR chapter members that are here with us, including Jane Nalwalk, who is the chapter regent, Sarah Medeiros, Linda Rogers, and Dr. Jane Baugh. Since being elected to office in 2009, Mayor Donna Holliday of Newburyport has worked hard to ensure that cultural tourism is a defining hallmark of her administration. Partnering with local cultural and business leaders, as well as state officials like State Senator Kathleen O'Connor Ives, Mayor Holliday has accomplished a great deal. From her first days, Mayor Holliday sought to capitalize on the city's distinction of being the birthplace of the United States Coast Guard by seeking formal designation as a Coast Guard city, an honor achieved in December of 2011. Similarly, Mayor Holliday formed a coalition of local cultural arts organizations and the Chamber of Commerce to pursue state designation of the city's central business and waterfront districts as a local cultural district. Such a designation was bestowed by the Massachusetts Cultural Council last fall. Owing to the mayor's leadership and drive, Newburyport has spent this past year celebrating its 250th anniversary with an unending series of events sponsored by the city and a myriad of local partners, such as new Essex Heritage Commissioner Michael Mraz of the Custom House Maritime Museum, who is here with us today. Supporting the community's tourism efforts have been enhanced by enhancing the city's tourism infrastructure. Notable are the granite markers forming the citywide Clipper Heritage Trail, the rehabilitation of the well-used boardwalk, and construction of the popular Clipper City Rail Trail, which will soon be extended to the waterfront. But perhaps nothing says more about the historic role and cultural assets play in the city's future than her creation of the Mayor's Office of Arts, Tourism, and Cultural Affairs. Mayor Holliday, your vision and hard work are paying dividends, not just for Newburyport, but for the entire region. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating Mayor Donna Holliday.
Well, this certainly was a surprise. I just became mayor and do what I think is important for our community. And it's certainly nice to get accolades, but it's partnerships, and that's what this award is all about. It's partnerships with our business community, it's partnerships with our art people, it's partnerships with our nonprofits, and it's so nice to see so many of you here. When I took office, I was really concerned about the fact that we had done such a terrible job in Newburyport in marketing our history and telling our story, and there was nothing there. People would come to our city and they would know that it had this rich history, but where did you find the information? Nowhere. So a group of people came together, particularly I'm so grateful to my personal historian, Glee Woodworth, who has educated me every step of the way about the magnificent history of Newburyport and created the Clipper Heritage Trail, the change in leadership at the Custom House Maritime Museum, and their wonderful programs that they're running. They're breathing new life into that museum and bringing more people into our community. Our partnership with Essex Heritage, it just keeps continuing to grow and grow and grow. And as I said, none of this would be possible without the wonderful partnerships and relationships we have all across the community and within Essex County. And it helps to enhance all of the wonderful programs that each of our communities contribute to the culture and history of this fantastic county. So thank you so much for this recognition, and I thank all of my partners for making this possible.
I would like to thank Ed Becker and Mary Williamson from the Essex County Greenbelt for nominating our final Pioneer and Partnership recipient. To paraphrase American author and essayist Edward Abbey, the idea of nature needs no defense, it only needs more defenders. For nearly 3 decades, the natural environment of Essex County has benefited enormously from such a defender, Jim McDougall of Topsfield. A lifelong resident of Essex County, Jim is a committed environmentalist and recognized expert in the region's unique ecology and extraordinary natural history. Jim served as Essex County Greenbelt's land manager for 19 years, where his work established best practice standards for land trust across the state. In 2005, he established Biodiversity Consulting, LLC, and frequently works as a consultant in private practice on wetlands delineation, protection, and restoration programs. Until recently, Jim also worked as a special projects director for the Ipswich River Watershed Association, whose executive director, Wayne Castonguay, has joined us today. In addition to actively farming his beloved Nutter Farm in Topsfield, Jim has served on numerous boards, including the Essex County Ornithological Club, the Topsfield Conservation Commission, and the Topsfield Rail Trail Committee. Given this background, it comes as no surprise that Jim is well known to many nonprofit organizations and interest groups in the Essex National Heritage area. Quiet and self-effacing, he is considered a Renaissance man by his contemporaries in the environmental community. His penchant for sharing his expertise and unbridled enthusiasm through his extensive lectures, writings, and volunteer involvement is legend. Even Essex Heritage has benefited directly from Jim's innate curiosity and knowledge. Back in the 1990s, before our current day organization was fully formed, Jim was a member of the original Essex Heritage Ad Hoc Commission. That brave group of influential local leaders was among the first to believe that the then new concept of a national heritage area was something that could make a difference in the region. Jim, we, like many of those in the room, are truly grateful for your generous and pioneering spirit. Thank you for sharing your gifts. Jim McDougall.
Bill, could I have that right up? Because my mother doesn't believe a word of it. Thank you very much. I'm really kind of humbled with all the other pioneers that were recognized this morning. Mayor of Newburyport, the Daughters of the American Revolution. My aunt is a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And on my wall in my living room, this is all true, I have a mirror that was a wedding gift to the niece of General Putnam. And I've also, in high school, I was a member of the Linwoods Cross Country Club, which we learned to run at night on Fridays and Saturdays from the authorities through Linwoods. So that's where I developed my true appreciation of nature. So I am really humbled, and also want to thank Ed Becker of Essex County Greenbelt Association. Ed is a national leader in the land trust movement in this country, and Greenbelt is the most successful regional land trust in Massachusetts. So to be recognized and nominated by Ed is very special. And to get an award from the Essex National Heritage Commission, 20 years ago or more, when we sat down, and I learned from people like Tom Leonard and Annie Harris, who had a true vision of what cooperation can accomplish, the significance of our cultural history, and marrying that with our natural history, to learn of the perseverance, focus, and whatnot from Annie Harris is just remarkable. So I think she deserves a real applause. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, awardees, and congratulations to each one of you. And I thank Bill also for his work in putting this program together. This is, I think, a high point of our fall meeting. Next, I'd like to introduce Annie Harris. Annie is our CEO, and she's going to bring us up to date on the work of the Essex National Heritage Commission.
Well, I just want to add my congratulations to our awardees. Your fabulous work in this county, and it's really a great privilege to be able to at least give you this small recognition this morning. Essex Heritage was designated in 1996. So there are now 49 national heritage areas across the country, and including Alaska, and they represent and conserve all sorts of very diverse landscapes and cultures. The heritage areas are lived-in landscapes where people live and work. A heritage area is both a place and a concept. As a place, heritage areas are regions which have concentrations of significant natural, cultural, historic, and recreational resources. They are known for the unique culture and identity. And a heritage area designation does not change or impact a private ownership of the property within the heritage area. What makes this place special, Essex County? So special that 18 years ago we were designated a National Heritage Area. I mean, I'm sure that all of you intuitively know what a special place this is, but sometimes even I forget just how significant and how unusual we are. And so I always like in these meetings to give you just a little bit of a reminder about some of the really wonderful places and resources that we have. We have nationally significant American history here. We have heritage dating from the earliest contact between Native Americans and Europeans. We have buildings dating back to the earliest settlements in America. And of course, we also have the infamous witchcraft hysteria of 1692, which these days our office is in Salem, and it's pretty hard to forget about it with all that goes on Halloween. We also, of course, have a very, very rich maritime heritage that still continues today. Fishing, lobstering, sailing, boat building. And this picture here is Harold Burnham's boatyard in Essex. And you may remember Harold from a few years ago because we gave him a special recognition award. Harold is a remarkable craftsman, part of the shipbuilding tradition in the town of Essex, where his family has lived for 11 generations. Over the last 400 years, it is said that the town of Essex has produced more than 4,000 ships, many for the Gloucester sailing fleet. And Harold revived the tradition of building wooden schooners in 1996 when he began building the Thomas E. Lannon for Tom and Kay Ellis. By building traditional boats like the Lannon pictured here, and the privateer Fame and the Ardell, Harold has contributed immeasurably to the maritime experience of Essex County. We also have a very strong industrial history, not just the great factory cities of Lawrence and Haverhill, but I also like to remind you that the first integrated ironworks in America was established in Saugus, Massachusetts, and it's now the Saugus Ironworks National Historic Park. And this tradition of industry and entrepreneurship has continued up to the present day with the reuse of factories by companies such as EBSCO and the great careful reuse of great estates by companies like New England Biolabs, both based in Ipswich. And of course, the beauty of our natural resources is extraordinary. More than 100 miles of coastline, the largest salt marsh in New England, the second largest river in New England, and now, thanks to some of our work and our partners' work, we are starting to see miles of new trails built that help to improve our recreational opportunities and our access to these natural resources. We also are surrounded by amazing culture, including wonderful regional museums like the Newburyport Customs House Museum, Lawrence History Center, Wenham Museum, Cape Ann Museum. I urge you, if you haven't gone to them recently, go to them, particularly the Cape Ann has just been really newly renovated and reopened. Really extraordinary places that are just here in our backyard. And then, of course, there's the Peabody Essex Museum, the oldest continuously operating museum in the country. And with its next iteration, its next expansion, it will be among the top 10 museums in the country in terms of gallery space and endowment, and the only one not in a major metropolitan area. There are 49 other national heritage areas, but we think there is nowhere else as special as here. One of our staff recently surveyed her friends, asking them what they thought was so special about living here. And she received a slew of answers over Facebook, including some of these. Nowhere else can I visit a farm and a beach in the same day. Nowhere else can I sit in the same church pew as Nathaniel Hawthorne once sat. Nowhere else can I see a Calder mobile exhibit and also an 18th century ship figureheads in the same place. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the work that we've been doing over the last summer in this very special place. As you know, our job is to rally the communities and the people of Essex County to save the unique character of our region. We work with all of you, with all the residents, to actively support the thousands of special places that make this area such a great place to live. Most of you know that this summer we got a very special place. The deed for the Bakers Island Light Station was transferred to Essex Heritage. It took 11 years for this to happen, from the time we first put in our proposal. But it's a fabulous place and a lovely history. And I'll just give you a little bit of a brief history of it. This historic light station was established in 1791 by the Salem Marine Society. At that time, Salem was one of the busiest harbors in our nation. Right after the American Revolution, the sea captains and merchants from Essex County, from Newburyport, from Salem, right after the American Revolution, they went around the world establishing new trading relationships with China, India, Sumatra, Russia, places that before the American Revolution were off limits, controlled by the British East India Company. These captains were like the Bill Gateses of their day, making fortunes, pioneering new trade routes and new technology. But in Salem, too many ships were foundering on the rocks and reefs just outside of their home port, within sight of home. So the first beacon was erected on Bakers Island in 1791, and for a while, after that, there were two lighthouses for a while known as Ma and Pa. Now we're back to one. But this light station has been guiding sailors to safety for 250 years. This summer, we will be opening the site to the public for the first time in about 75 years, although we will only be allowing authorized boats with guided tours to come ashore. I'm very pleased to announce that the National Park Service has transferred to Essex Heritage a new 18-passenger Munson landing craft. We are thrilled to have this new means for getting the public and our volunteers back and forth to the island. Again, for a while at least, this will be the only public access that will be allowed to the lighthouse until we can get our arms around the whole operation. So stay tuned for more news, and we hope you will join us on this groundbreaking, water-breaking trip next summer. This summer, as Jack mentioned, we also opened a new visitor information desk at the National Park Service's Regional Visitor Center in Salem. We signed the first interpretive services agreement with the National Park Service's Northeast region. We have two staff people manning the desk, Catherine Rukowski and Ryan McMahon, and we are planning on recruiting volunteers to help expand our reach. Anybody who wants to volunteer, please let us know. This desk allows us to promote the heritage of the entire region to the more than 500,000 people who come to the center each year. Many of you will be happy to hear that our staff are particularly focusing their efforts on telling the visitors about all the places that are outside of Salem. So this is an entry point to Essex County. For nearly 15 years, Essex Heritage has helped to sustain a network of 10 visitor centers around the region. This year, we are pleased to welcome 2 new additional centers to our network, the Rockport Visitor Center and the Marblehead Information Booth. I'm also happy to announce that we're in conversation with the Beverly Historical Society about designating its fabulous John Cabot House as an official Essex Heritage Visitor Center. I'd like to recognize Sue Goganian. I don't know if she was able to make it, but she's the director of the Beverly Historical Society, who I think was going to try to come today. So we're really pleased to have, this will be the 13 visitor centers. This network of affiliated visitor centers perform a key role in informing over 1.5 million visitors to this region about all they can discover and experience, places they won't find anywhere else. Many of these visitor centers are well positioned also along the Essex Coastal Scenic Byway, which stretches from Lynn to Salisbury. I'm very excited to announce that the long-planned signage program for the Scenic Byway is finally getting underway. The signage project will place small wayfinding signs to guide travelers by car and bike along the 90-mile route through our 14 coastal communities. And the signs will enhance awareness of the over 650 unique heritage, recreation, and visitor services destinations that are located on or just off the byway. So this summer, working closely with the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Essex Heritage finally was able to select the engineering firm of Greenman and Peterson to help determine where these directional signs will go. And as part of this process, Bill Steelman and Jason DeGray from the engineering firm are meeting with representatives from all 12 municipalities this November to start on working on the location for those signs and solicit their input on the sign placement. So, the last few months have also been very active ones for all of our youth engagement education programs. We were very fortunate to have sufficient grant money once again, this is the 5th year, to be able to hire 35 teens who worked this summer under the supervision of the National Park Service staff. The teens had a wonderful experience working at the 2 national park sites within the Essex National Heritage Area, Salem Maritime and Saugus Ironworks, and they also had the opportunity to work at 2 trustees of reservations properties, Appleton Farms and Moraine Farms. And I really thank the trustees again for providing such a great learning experience for these kids. We were also very fortunate to be able to team up again this summer with Salem State University, and we provided with them a summer program for English language learners, high school students. This was the 2nd year we were able to do this program. It was our role to arrange for field trips and the final exhibit. And this year the students went to both historic and cultural sites, such as Salem Maritime and the Peabody Essex Museum. But we also arranged for them to do interviews with the mayor of Salem, the chief of police, with the city councilor, and they visited 2 high-tech companies, Microline Surgical and Cell Signaling, who were wonderful to open their doors to these kids. So the kids got to learn about work past and present and what a global face it has. The results of this intensive month-long program in English writing and speaking was a wonderful final exhibit that was displayed at the National Park Service's Visitor Center, and their final projects with these kids involved a video, a book, and public speaking in English. It was very moving to see how hard these students worked and how much they accomplished. And although this program was focused in Salem, we hope that we will have the opportunity to take the lessons learned from it to other gateway cities in the Essex County region. We also work directly with teachers because training teachers enables us to impact a greater number of students. And through our teacher workshops, we've been able to get involved in educational programs in more than half of the communities of this region. So this summer was the 3rd summer that we have partnered with the National Park Service on an intensive teacher workshop, helping teachers to develop educational projects using real places. We immerse the teachers in the techniques that they can then use to engage students in the local natural and cultural resources of their communities while still meeting core curriculum requirements. And then during the school year, we are continuing to follow and mentor these teachers as they develop these new programs. Also new this year, Salem State University, their School of Education, approached us to develop a graduate course to accompany this teacher workshop program. So I'm very pleased to announce that we have 15 teachers that are now enrolled in this graduate course during this school year. So this program has been recognized by the National Park Service's Northeast Region, and Essex Heritage and our National Park Service Educational Coordinator have shared best practices at national conferences and also via webinars. Just one last comment on this. We asked all the teachers to give us feedback on the program. And one teacher from this summer's workshop said, and I quote, "I started teaching in 1981, and this is the best class that I have yet taken to get me excited about September. Thank you. It's nice to do something for the community, not just my class." This summer, we also continued our very popular photo safaris, which Hunt Photo and Video made possible with their support. There were two wonderful safaris, one with Tamaron to the Ipswich River watershed's Riverbend Reservation, which if you haven't visited, I encourage you to do so. And the other was with Olympus Camera at the Appleton Farm. So we thank those sites and we thank the camera companies for really giving people another experience of how to look at this region. Trails and Sails. I hope all of you did summer Trails and Sails this year. We had the best year ever. We're still trying to tally up the numbers, but we already know this was a record-breaking year, with most of the sites hosting more visitors than ever before. I mean, it's always helpful when you have good weather, not like today, which we did this year. But we've also seen a great growth in the quality of the programs and the amount of promotion that more of our hosts are doing as they realize the considerable benefits that they garner by attracting so many new visitors to their sites. Also in our post-event surveys, participants commented on the wonderful places they were able to visit and gave high praise for the professionals and the volunteers who led the tours and open houses. People said, and I quote, they said, "It was so interesting. The guides were so informative. The presenter was fabulous. They did a wonderful job of working with everyone." And they said this about so many different places, from the Moraine Farm in Beverly, the Great Stone Dam in Lawrence, the World War II memories at the Wenham Museum, the Dogtown Walk in Gloucester, and just so many more. There was just this incredible variety of comments, all enthusiastic. So I want to thank all of the volunteers that participate as hosts in Trails and Sails events. We greatly appreciate their participation. We have many people who are consistent volunteers, such as Dina and Phil Karwowski, who, for the last several years, have led a team of U.S. Coast Guard auxiliary members and friends opening up Hospital Point Lighthouse for tours in Beverly. And then we have brand new participants every year, such as Sean Ward, who participated for the first time by welcoming Trails and Sails participants to the Pierce Farm at Witch Hill. I was really sorry that I wasn't able to make it to this historic place, but I heard he had very large crowds of enthusiastic visitors, and certainly the comments were very positive about people's experience. So thank you for stepping up as a new participant. And then many, many thanks to all the rest of the folks that participate that I really can't even mention here. But I do want to give a particular shout out to Eastern Bank and also TD Bank, because it is their generosity that makes it possible for us to put on Trails and Sails and keep it for free every year. So really, really thank you for that. Thank you. It's a big deal. This summer we also launched our Move It program in partnership with the WISE of the Greater North Shore. We received a grant from the National Park Foundation and additional support from Leahy Health. And the challenge was to complete 100 miles in 100 days. The challenge is still open till November 2nd, if you want. So far, we've had 242 participants, and they have tracked, to date, a total mileage of 5,487 miles. So, and this is, it is closing on November 2nd, but this is, a lot of this program was to build a website that allows people to track miles and find out where trails are and what ways to get exercise. And so we will be able to do that, roll it out again next year and keep this program going in different ways. So I have reported on some of our program activities, but how do we measure up overall? Every year, as part of our unique relationship with the National Park Service, we must provide qualitative and quantitative analysis. We have to report every year. Over the years, Congress has demanded more and more accountability, and the list of items that we need to measure has grown. So, I want to show you some of these numbers. Last year, by the numbers, so that was 2013, the numbers showed that through Essex Heritage programs, there were 74 grant recipients, 150 sites were open for free during trails and sales, 260 students were reached through our educational programs, 350 heritage sites were promoted along the Essex Coastal Scenic Byway, 624 people volunteered at heritage sites. There were 1,789 collaborative partnerships. 5,284 people had a great time at trails and sales events. 16,256 volunteer hours were donated to heritage places through our programs. We expect that when we tally the numbers up for 2014, they will look even better. So again, I thank all of you because everything this is, it's all about partnerships. Look at the contributions you're all making. So in closing, again, thank you all for participating, for supporting Essex Heritage. We are proud to work with you on preserving and enhancing this wonderful place because nowhere else can you buy milk and cheese at the oldest working farm in America. Nowhere else can you drive past so many 17th century homes when you commute to work. And nowhere else can you visit the lighthouse whose keeper saved the USS Constitution when she was being chased in the War of 1812 by 2 British frigates. So here's some of our resources, some of the things that we think are really special. Please tell us why you think Essex County is so special, from the farm stands to the historic sites, trails, community walks, even restaurants. Tell us about what you most enjoy about living here, which is like nowhere else.